Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to my first Facebook live sessions on Thursday, March the 2nd, called Beat the Blues, Bounce Back from Betrayal. So I am super excited to be offering this as a little weekly live session here on Facebook to connect with you, my audience, especially women or someone that you know who may be suffering from an act of betrayal in their personal life or even in their professional business life. So I am your host, Tammeron. And again, this is the first of many to come. And if you are new to following me or being a part of my Facebook community, I just want to say thank you. And you are in for some fantastic information to really help you learn how to navigate those emotional ups and downs from an act of betrayal. Because as I mentioned on my little prelude yesterday, it really is tough to recover from something that really feels like it can cut like a knife, or something that just may have shattered your world. And you may be in a position where you don't have a community or people around you that really can hold that space for you. And so this is why I'm going live on here. I want to remind everybody as well to post any comments or questions below, or send me a private message. And you are more than welcome to join my Facebook group community called Inner Lights Academy. And that really is my own community where I connect with all of you as a group Monday through Saturdays. And we talk about what's happening in the astrological sky and how it's affecting us on an emotional and in a personal level. And then I'll make some recommendations on what tea or herbs I'm recommending for you to drink to help you stay emotionally balanced. I might also be talking about specific essential oils. I've been talking a lot about using rose, whether it's rose tea or rose essential oil lately, and I'll share with you why in a minute. And also maybe even some little strategies or hacks that you can be implementing on a daily basis to help you really move forward and to grow and to move through a challenging time in your life. So each week, these videos are going to be approximately 20 to 22 minutes long. Hopefully I'll keep them within that time frame, but it's to start sharing some of the secret hacks that I've been using for well over 15 years. And I want to share some of my secrets with all of you. Now, as a certified astrologer, again, one of the reasons why I chose to do this and to have my backdrop is to teach people that maybe some of these patterns of betrayal that have been happening in your personal relationships or even in your business relationships had to do with a spiritual message, or what I call a spiritual lesson that your soul agreed to learn when you came here and became a physical being on the planet Earth. I'm a believer that we are all spiritual beings and we are here to have a human experience. And that is a famous quote by Stephen Covey. And it is what I believe. And what I want to reflect is that as humans, we're all here making mistakes so that we can learn and grow and to gain some of these spiritual lessons so that we can evolve. So as an astrologer, sometimes I can look at a client's birth chart and I can say, does this keep happening? Let me tell you why. And a lot of clients go, yeah, it's a pattern that keeps showing up. So the first thing I want to say to you is, if you have any pattern of behavior, of an issue of something that's showing up in your life, the first thing I'm going to suggest you do is to slow down and start paying attention as to what is happening in the astrological sky. All right, because this is when you're going to start to find some answers and to give you validation that you're not going crazy or a little bit bonkers, that maybe there's a pattern that you need to see so that you can break through it and get on the other side. And a lot of that breakthrough has to do with your emotional body. And again, talking about emotional health, wellness, mental health is one of my favorite topics, because I am someone who many years ago, over 20 years ago, was actually severely depressed. I was actually feeling suicidal, and I was allergic to medication. So I could not take regular medication that was prescribed to me because I was getting multiple reactions after reaction after reaction, which in my mind was a blessing in disguise, because it forced me to look at more holistic solutions so that I could help to rebalance what I was feeling on an emotional level, so that I could move through some of the challenges that I was experiencing in my own personal life. And the day that I found out from my family doctor that she had flagged all of the medication she had given me and said, you had a reaction to that, you had a reaction to that, she looked at me and said, I don't know what to give you, and I hope that someday you never get really sick. Now, can you imagine what that feels like to be sitting in a doctor's office who I actually looked up to because she was very reputable and knowledgeable? And I was thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do? So I had to walk out of her office into a world of the unknown. I drove home with a severe sinus infection in my face, where my face was all puffed out and my eyes were running. And even though I had sunglasses on, the glare from the sun that was coming through the windshield of my vehicle, I still was having a hard time seeing because it was just painful. Like there was so much sinus pressure in my face. So if you've ever had a wicked sinus infection, you know what I'm talking about, post a comment below this and let me know, because it's really tough to be outside in the sun looking up when there's all that pressure. So what happened? Well, to be honest, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I wound up having a conversation with a woman that I vaguely knew about an hour later, as I was standing in my kids' school auditorium or main area waiting to pick them up. And a woman looked at me and saw, my face all swollen, and it was obvious that I was suffering from something. And she approached me and said, like, I've noticed, like, you look like you're suffering. And so I explained to her what had just happened at my doctor's office. And she said to me, well, I don't know if you're open-minded enough to really grasp what it is that I'm saying. She said, but I just received my certification in a holistic school, and there might be some options for you to take some herbs and to get some facial massage done to help drain some of that pressure in your face. But the herbs might actually help you to boost your immune system and help to release some of this pressure that you were feeling from having a sinus infection. And I looked at her and I said, absolutely, I'd love to find out what other options there are, because I was so desperate at that time. And I was in a lot of pain. And I was also dealing with a lot of stress. And it was, as they say, in your face, right? So a sinus infection really is about something that is right there, and you need to address it and you need to look at it. So that to me was like, I'm open. And the next day I went to this woman's house, and that's exactly what happened. I had to pay out of my pocket, but she did give me a facial massage. She gave me some energy Reiki healing, and she also recommended some oregano herbs in a capsule. I started taking it, and within 24 hours, I felt like a completely different person. And I needed to know, A, what she gave me and why it actually worked. And to me, that was a blessing in disguise, because I soon had to start taking courses and classes and get my own certification, because it was what I needed for my own physical body. And this time in my life actually opened not only that door, but multiple doors where I started going to private schools in Southern Ontario, Canada, and I started learning more and more different ways to have holistic remedies and holistic techniques to help me manage not only what I was feeling on an emotional level, but eventually my physical body started getting stronger and my immune system started to bounce back, and I was gaining my strength so that I could move through the challenges that were faced in front of me. So if anyone below or anybody listening has also experienced some of this, or you know somebody, comment below, because this really is an opportunity right now on the planet where more and more people are starting to realize that we just have options out there. It's not someone telling you what you have to do, but sometimes things happen in our life and it seems negative at the time, but it turns out to be a blessing in disguise. All right. So this is the theme of what I want to talk about today as we are dealing with some of these issues that are emotional. You know, as we experience an act of betrayal, like when you feel shattered and you feel like your whole life just changed automatically, you're going to start feeling a little bit differently, and you're going to have some negative emotions that you might be experiencing. And I'd rather teach people how to use some of these natural remedies to start moving through some of these challenges rather than going to the traditional addictive behaviors. And I know we all have addictive behaviors. I am not saying that I don't have any. However, I'd rather be addicted to drinking some herbs and some tea and feeling good about myself that I actually made some healthier choices to deal with some of my challenges, or, you know, using some high grade essential oils that actually transform negative feelings into something positive, or go outside and go for a walk to blow off steam, or actually write down what it is that I'm feeling in an actual journal so I can connect with myself to understand what's really going on inside of me. So these are just some of the different things that we can do so that we can learn how to manage what is happening in our life and to take some time out to say there are choices out there. Again, comment below if you have ever used any of these holistic techniques, or what type of holistic techniques do you love to use as you're moving through challenging times in your life, because there's so many options out there. Now, again, yesterday I had popped on here and talked a little bit about some of the misconceptions about how we feel when we realize that we are in a situation where betrayal might have occurred in our life. And one of the number one thing that I want to reflect back on again today is thinking, or I don't want you to think, that it was your fault. I don't want you blaming yourself and saying, oh, what did I do wrong? Or, you know, how could I have been better? Because I know as a woman, that's exactly the first response that I had, was that I thought it was my fault. It was something that I had done. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't a part of that, but it wasn't 100% because of me. Someone else's behavior was not my responsibility. It is 100% their responsibility and how they choose to deal with it. However, if you're still sitting there and you're saying that over and over, and, you know, down in the dumps and down in the blues and thinking, oh my goodness, you know, it was all my fault, that's just not a healthy mindset to have. All right. So we're going to talk about some different things that can help you bounce back slowly, because it is a process of healing and to begin part of that recovery process. So the first thing I want to talk about is, like I just mentioned, is to practice some form of self-reflection. where you need to take time out in your life to reflect on exactly what it is that you're feeling. Because the more often you do this, the faster you can learn to acknowledge that specific emotion or feeling that is actually occurring for you, so that you can have a better understanding in order to determine what it is that you can use, that choice you have to rebalance that negative feeling. An example would be this week is Thursday. It is the same day that I launch my little podcast that goes out called Your Time Matters. Now, that gets posted every week on Thursday, where I talk about what is happening in the astrological sky and how it is affecting us down here on the planet on a personal and an emotional level. Now, as an astrologer, every week I study and I predict how people could be feeling if there is a conjunction or an interaction of different planets that are coming together in the sky. They call them dancing in the sky. So when there's different planets that represent different aspects, it can either be a positive feeling that maybe we might be experiencing, it could be something negative, or it could be very stressful, it could seem very hard, or it could seem that things are just flowing and moving in a good way. So I don't want to get too out there. You don't have to be an astrologer to understand what I'm talking about, but specific planets represent specific things. So each week I make a video and it gets posted and it gets put here on my Facebook. It goes on my YouTube channel under Inner Lights Academy TV. It goes on LinkedIn. It goes across everywhere. Okay. And I tell you, this is what I predict you might be feeling because of the action of these planets. And then I recommend the specific herb or ingredient that you can use and make a cup of tea, because at least you are putting something healthy in your body that has an emotional component to it that can help to rebalance what you're feeling and to offer emotional healing. All right. So this is not traditional. This is kind of conventional and woo-woo and out there, but everything has an energy that comes with it. And food, herbs, plants, spices all have energy. And so if you need to rebalance anything negative, you can learn what to use to help you shift that specific emotion. So this week, the herb or the plant or the food that I recommended to put in my teacup was actually limes. And the reason why is because if people are feeling discouraged, if they're feeling like contracted and they just feel like they're stuck, the emotional healing property of lime is that zest, is that joy, is that bouncing around energy that can help shift your emotional body so that you feel better, even though this is what's happening in the astrological sky. So I'm making sense. Post a comment in the comments below and say, yes, this makes sense to me. So again, these are little simple things we can do consistently. And as we use them over and over and over, then we can begin to feel better. And this is one of the 5 steps of recovery that I talk about, is to start learning how to use herbs and herbology specific to spices and foods. Like there's an energy with that. And so this is one of the fastest ways that you can begin that healing process, by just simply changing what you're putting in your teacup, maybe adding the example of the limes into your diet. Like for me, for breakfast, I've been having fresh cut avocados with fresh squeezed lime juice and just a dash of natural Himalayan sea salts. It tastes absolutely fantastic. I'm getting my healthy fats, I'm getting a lime for my emotional zest, and I'm getting some nutrition from the natural sea salts. So these are just some little hacks that I continue to share with people inside of my Inner Lights Academy, which is a Facebook community. So if you'd like to join and become a free member, message me below or comment, and I will send you the link, because these are all the little secret hacks that I share with everybody inside the group. And you'll see me very casually, either in my kitchen, cutting my limes, squeezing my juice, whatever it is. And then also on Fridays is I offer a healthy recipe that has the main ingredient of what it is that I'm recommending each week. So this week, everybody's going to get the recipe on how to make that healthy avocado snack. Because again, the more ways we can implement some of these natural solutions or holistic remedies, the stronger you're going to feel, and you're going to be able to regain that emotional strength that you need during challenging times. The second thing that I want to talk about is just having that mindset that's cultivating that growth, that spiritual growth, knowing that you're going to be able to recover from what it is that has happened, and to know that it is going to get better. It's just that this is where you are today. And again, one of the things I encourage people to do is, and I'm going to use the image in the backdrop here, is, when you're feeling down and out and you feel like, you got the blues and life just sucks right now. Well, remember, when it's dark, when your life seems dark, is to look up to the sky and to find out what's happening in the astrological sky, because sometimes we're feeling really deep and dark and depressed because there could be things that are being triggered in the astrological sky. So it's not necessarily everything to do with you. There could be many other people that are experiencing the same thing as you, but you think it's only you. Okay, so think about what I just said. Sometimes it's not just you. And this is another reason why I encourage people to join my community, is because I'm going to teach you what's happening, and you don't have to become an astrologer, but you'll be able to manage your life, the ups and downs, when you just start paying attention to what's going on in the astrological side. Now, I'm not going to get too detailed here in this video, but remember that the moon travels around the earth every 28 days, and there are 12 astrological signs in the sky. So it goes around, right? And each of the 12 astrological signs represents something specific. And when the moon is in some of those specific signs, you're feeling down in the dumps. It's true. There are certain times every 28 days. So if you tend to notice a pattern, it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm just feeling like really blue, like really down and out. And then other times you're happy, and yet nothing may have changed in your life. Why is that? I'm telling you. What I say, it's moonology. So pay attention to the moon, because the moon is calling you. All right. So this is one of the master classes that I am offering inside of my 5-step process, is understanding the moon, moonology. I'm going to call it moonology just for fun. All right. So you're not going crazy. And if you're super emotional around the full moon, which is happening on March the 7th, then pay attention, because, you're just super emotional because it is the full moon. That's when the sun and the moon are the exact opposite in the sky. And so the reflection from the sun on the moon actually aggravates, or it elevates, or it intensifies what it is that you are feeling. And so the moon is saying, pay attention, because the moon wants you to know what it is. That's why the moon is calling. He's saying, pay attention to what you're feeling so that you can release it. Right. So that's another little trick and a hack that I'm going to share with you. Now, getting back to that growth mindset. So remember, it's not just about thinking positive. It's just knowing that what you're going through is temporary and it will change. Okay. So if you have enjoyed some of the information that I've shared with you this week, please comment below, post your questions. I'd be more than happy to follow up and answer. And remember to come back next Thursday at 2:22 Eastern for another Facebook Live session of Beat the Blues, Bounce Back from betrayal. So if you know anyone that's experiencing this in their personal life or even in their business life, share and spread this message and let them know that I'm going to teach you some of these hacks to teach you how to recover and move through this challenging time that is happening in your life. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on Thursdays at 2:22 Eastern Time. Bye-bye.